Welcome to another guide on how to beat the Super Operation Triple Treat. Now this game mode has been highly requested by the community for the developers to make since the game was soft launched. But now the game mode is out, and after playing a few matches, I've noticed that not many people know how to effectively play and win on this new game mode, which is why I'm here today to talk about some effective strategies you can use. First, let's look at the map. This game mode has the same concept as the Gear Critter and the Critter Fortress game modes, where there are a third enemy who attacks both teams. In this game mode, the aspect makes this modifier unique from normal games, as there is a third Zone C, which is a base completely built with 3 critters stationed to guard the base. This means that you don't have to only worry about 2 zones. This time you have to worry about a third zone, which also starts as fully defended. In order to fit 3 zones in the map, they had to make Zone A or Zone B smaller than Zone C. As you can see on the map, Zone A and Zone B are both squares, while Zone C is a rectangle. This also means that the normal zone takes a shorter time to walk to than Zone C. The approximate time for a player to go from spawn to the normal zone is around 10 seconds, but going from spawn to Zone C is around 20 seconds. Now, let's talk about some strategies that can be used at the beginning of the game or capturing a zone. First, let's assume the zone closest to you is Zone A, and the furthest away from you is Zone B. There are 2 options in controlling or capturing a zone when the game begins: going to the uncapped Zone A and capturing it, or going to take down the base at point C and recapture it. You might be wondering, why are there only 2 options of going A and C instead of the 3 options of going A, B, or C? This is because to get to Zone B, you need to go through Zone A, and you can't go past Zone C as it is heavily defended, and you can't lose valuable troops when taking out a fully built base. Now let's see which one is the better option. If your team decides to take and recapture Zone C, then your team has to take out a fully built base with 3 critters. This means that your team can lose a lot of health when you take out their base, which can make it harder for you to try and recapture Zone C, as the enemy are going to try and capture Zone C as well with full health. However, if you manage to take Zone C, the enemy should have enough people to take both Zones A and B. This means that you want to make sure you build almost all defenses, because the enemy can attack you from any side. You should also have some defenders defending C at all times, in case the enemy decides to push Zone C. The rest of the team should go and help destroy and retake Zone A. This should be easy to do, as it doesn't take long to travel from the spawn to Zone A, while they have to travel much longer from their spawn to Zone A. This means that you can easily apply pressure and take out Zone A and recap it. Now, if you do this, you now have both. Now this strategy is risky because the other team will most likely decide to come and third party you or try to take you out when you are taking Zone C. This can result in them taking both Zones B and C, which puts them in a winning position, or they can take all 3 zones, which makes you lose instantly. If you want to play it safe, have the whole team go to the nearest uncapped base, which is Zone A, and capture that zone first. If you have full control of the zone, and you think there isn't much enemy at Zone B, usually because they are attacking C, you should get some of your team to try to take Zone B, with 3 or 4 people staying to capture Zone A. Let's assume they all went to attack Zone C. When they take out Zone C, you have 2 choices: capture Zone B and build a solid defense, or go and try to take Zone C from them. If you decide to build defenses, make sure you build front defenses first, and make sure there's several people defending this base, as it takes a short amount of time for the enemy to reach this base. If you see the enemy is trying to recap or take Zone B, the defenders should keep defending, and the others should try to take out Zone C. This way, if you trade, you can have both Zones A and C, and it is easier to hold Zone C as it is further away from the enemy spawn than Zone B. This also can result in a triple cap if the people at Zone B defend successfully and you manage to recap Zone C from them. However, if you decide to attack and try to take point C, this means that they have to worry about both taking the uncapped Zone B and the pressure your team is applying to Zone C. If you fail to capture Zone C, which is most likely to happen as they have control, you would be losing as they have Zone C, and it would be easy for them to take Zone B as it is quicker to travel there than your team. However, if your team manages to take out their team somehow, your team should now be able to cap Zone A and Zone C. Here, the enemy will try to contest Zone B, which is why the people defending A should come up to support the people defending B so it can be defended. Usually, the enemy should be able to take back Zone B from you as they outnumber you, but if you manage to control the zone, they will have nowhere to go as you can spawn camp them from both Zone B and C. This should result in an easy triple cap from your team. Now I've seen this speedrun be done to many people, as I saw they were being too risky when my opposing team went to attack Zone C instead of playing it safe and capturing Zone B. But what happens if they play it safe and go to capture Zone B? If the enemy does this, you should focus on capturing Zone A, because if half of your team goes to Zone B, the enemy will capture Zone B for sure, because your team is outnumbered, they have zone control. And going there is a suicide mission which can give them free munition from killing your team, which is not a good disadvantage to have. Let's say you have Zone A and they have Zone B, and Zone C is still being controlled by the third enemy. When you capture Zone A, you should try to build the front defenses to help defend the base. From here, there are two options: go as a team and push Zone C, or go attack the enemy base. The good advantage of attacking is you can apply pressure and deal damage to their base, which forces them to take another zone if their base is low. This is either Zone C or Zone A, and since Zone A is heavily defended, they will try to take Zone C. When base C is destroyed, you can go and try to take C from them. You should have enough munitions to buy good vehicles to assist your team, if there is any good vehicles for defending or attacking. When the enemy is trying to take down Zone C, they will be heavily damaged by the base defenses, which means that your team has a chance at taking them down, even if they have zone control. However, if this fails and they cap Zone C, this means that they will have both Zone C and B, which will most likely happen. But their base at B is really damaged, which means that you could probably easily destroy and recapture it. When this happens, base B is going to be really hard to defend, so make sure your team defends B as much as possible while trying to trade base B for the enemy base C, because base C is easier to defend as it is further away from the enemy spawn than base B. Here you want to have at least 1 to 2 people defending both base A and C. The others can either apply pressure or switch from base to help defend. In my games, I see many people focusing on attacking the enemy base, which is base B. This can be good if you control their point, but it isn't good if they go to the other side and trade point C for base B, because now they can push point B and retake it, and now you are losing. The safest bet on winning is to hold both bases until the timer runs out, and you win on a score of 2 bases to 1. This might mean that you can't finish the game quicker, but this is the safest option. Now, if you are willing to risk your victory for a quicker win, you should have 1 to 2 people defending Zone C, and the rest attack B. You don't need to defend Zone A because you already are pushing both spawn exits. If your push fails, you should try to defend, as the enemy are most likely going to push a zone because they know most of your team is dead. Most likely they will push Zone C because it is closer to their spawn area, but you have to analyze the map when you spawn in to confirm which zone they push. If your team has one base, the enemy has another, the other is uncapped, and the game goes into overtime, the location of where the zone is at is important. If the uncapped zone is point C, both teams has an equal chance of winning because it takes an equal amount of time to reach that point. But if it is point A or the one closest to your team has an advantage because it would be quicker to access that zone. While if it was point B or the one closest to the other team's zone, the enemy team has an advantage because it will be quicker for them to access the zone. If the game is about to go into overtime, and if the zone that's not built is zone B, you should consider gathering a push and taking out point C if there isn't much defense, because they should have a lot of control over the uncapped zone. This strategy only works if there aren't many defense at C, which means you should have at least 1 to 2 people defending point C at all times if you have zone C captured. If you can, you should buy good vehicles to help you push a base or secure a zone. Even if the uncapped zone is on the other side of the map, a good vehicle might be able to let your zone take control of the zone and defend long enough for the zone to be captured. Basically, then instead of trying to destroy the enemy bases, which is the objective of the normal operation, in this super operation you are trying to make sure you have 2 bases captured. And the easiest way to do this is to make sure your team has point C captured. Thank you so much for listening to the end of the guide and enjoying the rest of the gameplay.